Hello children, we are discussing chapter 15, our environment, and in this video we will discuss ozone layer, how it gets depleted and what are the functions and properties of ozone layer. First we'll discuss what is ozone. Ozone is a triatomic molecule of oxygen. Triatomic means in which three atoms are combined. So the molecular formula of ozone is O3. It is an allotrope of oxygen which exists in nature. As oxygen is found in two allotropes, two physical forms in nature. One is O2, that is life-supporting gas in the atmosphere, and other one is ozone, O3, triatomic molecule. Ozone layer is present in the stratosphere of atmosphere. That is approximately 23 to 25 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Ozone is a deadly poisonous gas or layer. If we inhale ozone too much, then we will die very soon. It will be fatal for us. So ozone is deadly poisonous. But this ozone layer performs a very, very important function for us. That is, it absorbs the harmful ultraviolet radiations. UV radiation stands for ultraviolet radiations of the sun, or coming from the sun into the atmosphere. Sun gives three kinds of radiations. The first one is visible spectrum, which you have studied in your chapter Human Eye and the Colorful World. The visual spectrum VIBGYOR. One, ultraviolet radiations, and the other one is infrared. Infrared is responsible for the heat which is generated by the sunlight. These ultraviolet radiations are harmful for Earth's surface, and those are absorbed by the ozone layer. Next we'll discuss how this ozone forms. Oxygen gas molecules present in the atmosphere will be broken up by the ultraviolet radiations and leads to the formation of atomic oxygen. This is also known as nascent oxygen. As bache, you must have studied in the chapter Atom and Molecules in your class 9th that oxygen is an element which does not exist in free form, which does not exist in its atomic form, as oxygen is, or nascent oxygen is highly oxidizing. You may write this as two separate atoms as well. The representation which is given in the NCERT book, that is also correct, and that this one is also correct. This represents two atomic oxygen, and this is independently two are there, one and one. That is oxygen gas. Then that oxygen, atomic oxygen, combine with the other molecule of oxygen gas in the atmosphere and form the molecule that is ozone. So that's how ozone molecules are formed in nature. So this is the formation of ozone. So ozone is a triatomic molecule of oxygen. Ozone is deadly poisonous. It absorbs the harmful ultraviolet radiations that is coming from the sun into the Earth's atmosphere, and its formation is also occurred due to the presence of ultraviolet radiations. This ultraviolet radiations will break the oxygen gas into the atomic oxygen or nascent oxygen, and then that nascent oxygen oxidize the other oxygen gas molecules present in the atmosphere or present in that upper higher altitudes into the ozone molecule. This ozone molecule will get collected in the atmosphere, in the stratosphere, and will lead to the formation of a layer that is known as ozone layer. Next we will discuss ozone depletion. What is ozone depletion? Depletion means reduction, that means coming, decrease, the reduction in the concentration of ozonosphere or ozone layer is known as ozone depletion. Slowly, by certain pollutants, certain substances which cause damage to the ozone layer, the thinning of ozone layer is occurring. And this thinning of ozone layer is known as ozone depletion. For this ozone depletion, there are certain substances responsible which are known as ozone depleting substances, abbreviated as ODS. That is ozone depleting substances. The substances which cause harm to the ozone layer, which pose and harm to the ozone layer, are known as ozone depleting substances. ऐसे सब्सटेंस बच्चे जो ओजोन लेयर को हार्म पहुंचा रहे हैं उन्हें हम क्या बोलते हैं? ओजोन डिप्लीटिंग सब्सटेंसेस बोलते हैं. So those are referred as ozone depleting substances. And the example of the ozone depleting substances are, the first ones are chlorofluorocarbons, abbreviated as CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. These are the substances which are present in the form of aerosols in our refrigerators, in our washing machines, in our air conditioners, in the condensers of the automobiles. These are released into the atmosphere, and those chlorofluorocarbons destroy the ozone layer, as the chlorine present in them will be released in the form of atomic chlorine, and that atomic chlorine will slowly reduce the ozone molecule, and henceforth ozone layer is depleting, is thinning. The other ones are the oxides of nitrogen, which is released by the burning of petrol, like nitrogen dioxide released by the burning of petrol and diesel in the automobiles. Other ones are methyl chloroforms. They also harm the ozone layer. Halogens, these are the group of compounds which contains chlorine. So these are the substances which are referred as ozone depleting substances. Certain pesticides are as well are there which harm the ozone layer, which reduce the concentration of ozone layer. Now bache, what is the effect of ozone depletion? होगा क्या बेटा? हम होने देते हैं ओजोन को डिप्लीट, बट उससे कुछ हार्मफुल इफेक्ट्स हैं. इसीलिए हम बहुत ज्यादा अवेयर करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं. वी आर ट्राइंग आवर बेस्ट टू अवेयर द पीपल दैट टू रिड्यूस द यूज ऑफ दीज क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन्स, टू यूज द प्रोडक्ट्स which are eco-friendly, which are environmental friendly and does not pose any threat to the environment, to the ozone layer. What is the effect of it? Why we are doing so? If ozone layer is depleted, then more ultraviolet radiations will enter the Earth's surface. Due to the excessive ultraviolet radiations, what will happen? First thing, ultraviolet radiation cause skin cancer. So the chances of skin cancer will be increased to the animals or to the human beings. And if ozone layer is not there, more ultraviolet radiations will come into the Earth's atmosphere. Beta. Second, it will cause global warming. What is global warming? The average temperature of the Earth rises each year or with the passage of time is known as global warming. This global warming will leads to the melting of glaciers, and melting of glaciers will leads to the floods, flash floods. Next, the chances of heart diseases also get increased substantially, as more ultraviolet radiations will make a organism more prone to heart diseases. Next, the eye defects like cataract, it is referred as motia in Hindi, to people will be increased by the exposure of ultraviolet radiations. So these ultraviolet radiations will also cause, along with the heart diseases, certain various kind of eye diseases to the people as well. And the last point of this harmful effect of ozone depletion is, it will also adversely affect the crop yield. More ultraviolet radiations will also put certain adverse effects, certain bad impacts on the crop yield as well. There is a reduction in the crop yield. So these are the harmful effects of ozone depletion. Now we will discuss the managing the garbage we produce. First we'll discuss what is garbage. The household waste or the rubbish which we produced in our household is referred as garbage. To dispose of that garbage properly, we'll study certain steps, and the first one is rag picking or rag pickers. You must have seen the rag pickers around you. They keep on roaming in the streets and they will collect the non-biodegradable waste. What they do is, they separate biodegradable waste from non-biodegradable. Why? The non-biodegradable waste which they collect from the streets, like polythene bags, like plastic items, various iron articles which are thrown away, and those will be collected by them. Those are, they sell them. They sell them on the various shops and then will get the money for their proper living budget. As those items are recyclable, so they will leave the biodegradable waste there only and collect the non-biodegradable. Second one, landfills. What is landfills or landfilling, beta? We dig a pit and then we'll dump the waste into that pit, then cover that pit with the soil. That is known as landfilling. But it is always suggested that in the landfills we only dump the biodegradable waste. Why is it so? Because that biodegradable waste will be then biodegradable by the microorganisms, will be degraded by the microorganisms, and then will be mulched into the soil. That will increase the soil fertility henceforth. Next one is incineration. Incineration means burn to ashes. The small polythene bags are burned at the corners of the streets, but that will harm the environment. Why? Because that burning will release the harmful gases to the environment, and henceforth it will cause air pollution. Whensoever we burn those plastic bags or those small packed items near the corner of a street, or you must have watched them, but just seen them, those are very inappropriate habits which we are following. As those plastic bags will, when burned, they will produce harmful gases to the environment and henceforth cause air pollution. The next one is sewage treatment plant, STP. There are specialized plants set up in the outskirts of a city which are referred as sewage treatment plants. What is sewage, beta? The fecal matter, the urine, the waste which is produced by the human beings is referred as sewage. That sewage is collected by a sewer system in the city, and that sewage system will lead to a treatment plant known as a sewage treatment plant, which has various tanks, and those tanks will ultimately separate the solid waste, which further converted into the compost, and then the liquid waste is purified to get the drinking water. So that will be happening in the sewage treatment plant, and that's how sewage treatment plants are very useful in the proper disposal of the waste. Fifth one is composting. Composting is also a method to properly dispose of the biodegradable waste only. Biodegradable waste are placed in a compost pit, or the compost jars are also available nowadays, are small jars made up of plastic, and those compost pits will convert the biodegradable waste like animal waste, cow dung, etc., vegetable peels, the rotten vegetables, the dried chapatis of our houses, and those compost pit will decompose them. The leaves which we collect from our lawn, those are decomposed and will be converted into a compost. That is a manure, and that manure is used in our lawns or the gardens or in our flower pots, which we usually place at our homes. So that is a method to deal with the biodegradable waste. The last one is recycling. What is recycling, beta? It is the method in which the various materials which can be recycled, like plastic bags, plastic items, like iron articles, those are to be brought up into the industries, into the recyclable industries, and those industries will first melt them and then again reform them into the solid substances. So for recycling, we must have to burn certain fuel first. That is the only disadvantage of recycling, beta. पहले हमें उस fuel को burn करना पड़ेगा, beta. Then that fuel will produce heat energy. Then that recyclable item is melted and then again reconverted into a new shape. That is known as recycling. Next, बच्चे, a very small topic in your book is given regarding the paper cups. You must have seen the paper cups used to pour some tea at the railway stations or at the various bus stops. Why the use of paper cups is appreciated or is enhanced by the governments? Because paper cups does not cause that much pollution. As paper cups are biodegradable, they can be degraded by the microorganism in the nature itself, as well as these paper cups also not cause that much air pollution if we burn them, just like of plastic cups. The thermocol cups which we use, they are non-biodegradable, but paper cups are biodegradable. Paper cups की burning अगर हम करेंगे, they does not cause much pollution, much air pollution. They do not release large amount of harmful gases. They release, but they do not release harmful gases in large extent. Whereas the plastic cup or the thermocol cups are much more dangerous, as they release or they produce a large number of harmful gases in the environment as compared to paper cups.